I'm Stephanie Kowalski. I am married to Steve Kowalski. We have 4 kids, twin boys who are 8. Their names are Alex and Gabe. We have a daughter, Elsa, who's 4, and our youngest, who is our surprise baby, is Ryder, and he is almost 11 months. How I came to know Jesus, well, I grew up in a Christian home, so basically he was a part of my everyday household of learning. My parents would tell us who he was, what he did for us, and how important it was to have a relationship with him. One thing I remember them always telling us, even as younger kids, was that God blessed us to them for them to raise us, but we weren't their kids, we were his child, or we were his children. I didn't really understand what that meant at first until I realized what the importance of having a relationship with God was. It wasn't about having a relationship through my parents with God as much as it was having my own personal relationship with him. And then I understood what they meant. I probably asked Jesus to come in my heart when I was a little kid, and my parents probably did the whole prayer with us, but there's one time that I do remember where I made the choice, and I was in camp. I was actually at Camp Shipshawana, and a group of the girls that went to the church here with me, we were just having a great week at camp, and we had asked one of the counselors to come and sit with us, and we then rededicated all of our lives. The girls and I, we all grew up in church, so again, wasn't like we didn't know who God was or what he was doing, but we wanted to rededicate ourselves to him. Though many years later and some poor decisions later, I realized that I needed something else. I needed to get some healing in my life, make some changes in my life. When I found out I was pregnant with my twin boys, I knew I needed to make the change. I needed to do something different. I needed to find truth in the lies that I was believing about myself. The lies I was mostly believing were that I was unworthy, unlovable, and too broken. But I came to a point where I just ended up falling flat on my knees and on my face and crying and asking for the truth, and God was very faithful in providing those answers and showing me truths and helping me go through healing, which leads me here today and being a part of this church and raising my family in this church and relying upon him to help us in our everyday lives. One thing he kept saying to me when I was going through that was, I'm always here, I've always been here, I was just knocking and waiting for you to let me in. And so I just try to remember that whenever there's a hard time, he's there, he's waiting, he just wants me to rely upon him. And so that's how I, all through my life, got to know Jesus and where I'm at now. The ministries I'm currently involved in here in the church are Activation Junior in the children's ministry, and I am the recording secretary for the executive council for the church. And what I like about First Brethren is the home feeling and the faith that we have here that God's will be done in this church. We're small, but we're coming together as one unit, as one family. I also like the fact that my family basically all attends here. I would like to see God bring more families into the church. God has laid upon my heart to have, or to work in the children's ministries, to have ministries for the children in the church. And right now we're kind of at a weird point where the kids in my activation have now graduated and gone to youth, and those in the nursery or younger are just not quite old enough to come into Activation Junior. So to have new families come in, all ages, all sizes, would be amazing. And we would be able to do a lot, I think, with the kids here. I'd like to see VBS start back up. like to see more children's ministries and focus on them.